Hey everyone, welcome back to the second video in the series of the introduction to the VBA. In this video, we are going to see and have a feel about the Visual Basic Editor, which will be our working environment where we will see how things work. We will not go in much into details, but yes, we will get take enough look at so that it can help us to start working on the VBA. And then we will also try our first program and see how the macro works in the real world. So let's jump to the Excel. Okay, let's see where we can access the Visual Basic Editor. For that, you have to just go to the Developer tab on your Office ribbon and you will be able to access the Visual Basic Editor. Now, some of you might not be able to see it, this Developer tab. So, no need to worry for that. We just go to File and then we click on the options. Here we will see customize ribbon and then we will see this developer tab that we have. So if this this developer checkbox that we have. So if this developer checkbox is unchecked, then you will not be able to see the developer tab, and that's probably the reason that you are not seeing it right now. So what you have to do? Nothing. Very simple. Just check it and go to the OK button, and you will be able to see it. Right? Okay. Now that we have activated our developer tab, let's quickly go through some of the features or options that we have available here. So from here we can access the editor window of the Visual Basic. This macros will give us the list of the macros that we can work with. I mean that most probably when you will progress ahead in this course, you will be able to make some macros and save it. So you will be able to see what are the macros that you made. This one is that recording your macro. So this is very interesting feature, and we will see because you can. This enables you to create a macro without writing the codes, but that is not a good practice. Yes, and we will see why that's not a good practice, and we will also see how we can record a macro. Then we go to this another option called insert. From here we can add some buttons. For example, let me just see. I can add a button here and it will ask me that do I want to assign any macro. So basically the function of this buttons are that we can assign a macro to these buttons. So and just by clicking on the button we will be able to activate that macro and the work will be done. We as we move ahead on the course we will see how to do that. Okay, so for now I'll just cancel this. So as of now, no macro has been assigned to it, just the button has been created. So I'll just delete it. Okay. Now let's move ahead to the Visual Basic Editor and we'll take a quick tour of this editor. So this is how the editor looks like. This is your coding area. Basically in layman's language if I say, so I will try to use not as much of the actual coding languages or anything here because when we are discussing things, it's better to talk in a layman's way as much as possible so that the understanding is clear. Okay, and since this is the first time for you, if you are watching this, if you are trying to learn the macros, so yeah, I will just try to keep the language as simple as possible. Yep. So how do you make the macro, create a macro? So this is the area that you write some code. Okay, we will come to that part. We will actually write few lines of code and we will see how this is done. But for now, let's just have a quick look at this whole environment. We have another window called VBA project. So here basically all your projects resides, and if you want to insert any macro to any sheet, so you can just right click and then you can insert and then you can say a module. So this is basically the module will reside. Okay, then there's a properties windows for, so whatever objects that whatever things that you select here in the project window, we will be able to see the properties for that. So maybe you will see the module 1, module 2. So these are basic things, name and as we start adding things to these modules, we will see more uh, values and columns here. Okay, this is an important button. We can run our sub from here. Okay, so once you created the macro, you just click on this, or you can use the F5 button and your macro will run. You can pause your macro from here. If it's a very long macro and you want to pause it, you can pause it here. uh, you can reset your macro. So sometimes what happens that you get an error, and then the macro highlights that line for you. So after you have fixed that error, you just need to reset your program and run it again. So that's how you do it. Another important thing that I wanted to show is that this object browser. So this will basically help us in getting that what are the different objects, properties and methods that we have available in our library, so we can access from here. So you can select the Excel Office and this VBA and everything from here. For now, let's just select this Excel. Okay, or we can select this. Yeah. So you will see these are the things that you will see for the Excel. And now these are the objects. So let's say um, access, when you select access, so these are the properties. Any symbols with hand, these are the properties, and any symbols with this green folder, these are the methods that we can use on those objects. If you want to have some help on this object, you can just click on this question mark, and it will take you to an online resource of Microsoft, and there you will be able to find so many examples and help on this. Okay, let me just close this, come back to the Visual Basic Editor. Yeah, so this was the tour of the Visual Basic Editor. Okay, let me just close this. Now moving ahead, let's go to the next part, that how I can record a macro. Okay, so macro basically solves our problems, and for we first need a problem that we can solve. So for this demo session, I am just taking for example, let's say I have the marks of 3 people, and these are like 25, and then we have 45, and then we have 46, right? And let me just make this like unbold this, and then I'll just, yeah, and I will, okay. Now what I want to do is I want to bold this the font the of these 3 cells, and I also want the font color to be red. How I can do? By recording a macro. Okay, simply we will go to the developer tab, and then you say record macro. It will ask me what is that you want to do. I can, and it will also ask me the name of the macro. So maybe say I can say demo, and I can description. This macro will um, make font bold and red. Okay, so this is a very good practice. So after you have made n number of macros, it becomes very difficult to recall that what is the purpose of any particular macro. So by if you will give a description for this, then it will becomes easy for you to recall what you have done. Okay, then click OK. The recording has started. So then in this you just have to do what you will do in the Excel environment for doing for making the fonts bold and red. So here we'll select this, select all the 3 rows, make them bold, and I want the color to be red. Okay, this is done, and then go back again to the developer tab, and then you stop recording. Okay, so I will just restore the original format, and we will try to see what happens when we run the macro. So how we can see the macro? We just go to the developer tab again, click here. So you see I just created one macro also before, just to check things are working fine. So this was our macro, name of the macro demo. Okay, and just run it. You see the font colors are now red and bold. So this is the power of macro. Now if I want to do the same things in the by writing code, so this is the, and let's see, I mean, let's see what is the code that we have. Okay, now if I click on edit, it will open the Visual Basic editor and it will show me the codes. Okay, so yeah, you see, so this was the, we can ignore it for now, this was the first macro. Okay, you see this, we gave the name macro, then we gave the description that this macro will make font bold and red. So what this has done, so this is the code, this is actually what's happening behind under the hood, that when you run the macro. So it says that you selected range from this to this, then you made the font bold, and we made the change the color to this. This is the VBA code for the red color. Then we have tint and shade, end with, and then we have range dot select. This is the final point at which the cursor was. I placed the cursor after making the changes, and then the routine is completed. Okay, so this is how the code works in the background when you run a macro. Now let's just try to create a macro manually. Okay, this will give us the flavor of that how we can do it. Okay, right. So now I want you to have to give a special attention to this option explicit. So option explicit, we will cover it in detail in more detail in the later sessions. But just to give you an idea, when we prepare macro, we actually declare variables that, okay, this is a numerical variable, this is a text variable, this is a decimal point, or this is a date variable, because there are many functions which are specific to each variables, and it becomes easy for the macro to, and it is also important and necessary that the functions know that what are the variables that they are working upon, and what kind of applications or functions that can be run on those, and what kind of codes can be run on those. And it also, for you as a programmer, it is very important to know, to differentiate between variables, and to know what type of functions can be added to any particular variable. Now, when I say the apps option explicit, it forces you to declare those variables. Okay, so that's the reason we have it right now. So whenever you start recording or writing a macro, so it starts with the word sub, which stands for the subroutine, and then you name that macro. So if you remember that even while recording the macro, the first step was to record, to give a name to the macro. So here we will give it demo 3, and then we will close this parenthesis and press, and also we have to end this macro. So at the end, the last line of any macro should be end sub. So if I press this, the editor will automatically add that line for us. So yes, it's quite helpful. So let's think about the problem. So the problem that we have right now is that I want to make this, so maybe I can, yeah. So I want to make this cell B1 bold by running a macro. Okay, I mean, although it's not a very, in terms of efficiency, there is not much gain here, but just wanted to show you the benefits of how we can write the code and how we can run the macro. Okay, so I want to make this B1 as bold. So here we will go. So remember that hierarchy, object, property, and method. So that's how we are starting it. So the smallest cell, the smallest range is the cell. So this is my object. So I will say range, then I will say B1. We can write this in small case or even capital case. Uh, then when you press this dot button, the intelligence feature of the editor starts working, and it will give you what are the things that you can do with this particular object. So if you remember the hierarchy, the object is range, the property is the font that I want to change the font. Okay, what I can do with the font, I want to make it bold. So what are the things I again press dot, the IntelliSense will give me, okay, what are the things that you can do. I can make it bold, or I can change the status from bold to not bold, and then I have to give, so this is a logical thing. Bold is either true or false. It carries only two values, true or false. So if it is true, it will make it bold. If it's not, if it's false, then it will not make it bold. So I want to make this bold. I will place it true. So this is how it is. Just keep it clean. Okay, so now our macro is ready, and I can either use this green arrow, or I can even use the F5 button to run my macro. So let's see how it works. So I press the green arrow. It works very fast. Yeah. Sometimes you think that even the macro is not working, but let me just go to the Excel. You see, this is bold. Just try once again. I am removing the bold. I will run this. It's bold, right? So this is the magic of the macro, and we will learn more about it in the coming sessions. So this session was all about the macros, the starting the macros, getting a sense of flavor of the macro world, and the Visual Basic Editor. You also see that I can, so another thing, this last couple of things I want to highlight, that in this chunk of code, the editor gives some color. So these are like something like sub, true, and sub. These are the standard lines, and these codes are given as like blue color by the editor. Other things that we write, it will be black. And let's say I want to describe what this code is doing. I can add a comment to it by single quote. So this macro will make the font bold, and if I will click here, it will turn into green. So all comments are turned into green, and when I will run this, it will skip this. The macro understand that this is a comment. It will not do anything with it. It will just skip it, and we will come to the next line of code and see what needs to be done. So great, that was the two things that we learned today. Hopefully I was able to explain it in a detailed way. To some it might be boring because we are just starting slowly, but yes, these are the basic things that we have to understand, and unless and until we understand these basic things, we will not be able to make a jump, a leap. So have patience, and we will, in the coming sessions, we will take up, we will increase the pace, and we will start picking up things faster. Okay, so that's all for this session. I hope you all like the videos. Do subscribe to my channel if you are coming it for the first time, and do see the first video in this series to understand the basic concepts of the objects and properties and the methods. Share it with friends, like the videos, and subscribe it. Enjoy your life till we meet for the next video. Thanks. Bye bye.